Welcome to Zen and the Art of Homeschooling. I'm Ollie Malley.
And I'm Michael Malley.
Today we're going to talk about mind, body, and spirit and how you can integrate all three of those into the homeschooling of your child.
First of all, for yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right, for you to kind of think about your day. And actually, I've had to reassess this since we've been at home so much. I've been thinking about how much time do I want to spend on my mind, on physical exercise, on my body, and on feeding my spirit.
Right now, and you say, well, wait a minute, I thought this was about homeschooling, about our kids. It is about your kids. But first of all, you have to take care of yourself, right? You know, when they tell you on the airplane, right, when the oxygen masks come down, you put one on yourself first before you put it on your child, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have to be doing that care of self, right? We have to be doing that. And in terms of care of your spirit, you have to figure out what that is, right? For one person, it might be yoga. For another, it might be, reading the Psalms every day. For somebody else, it's it's making sure they maintain their, Muslim practice of doing their prayers. Somebody else doesn't think of themselves as spiritual religious at all, but they feed their spirit by going out into nature. That's going to be different for different people. It's going to be different for different families. But please, please, feed your spirit, feed your soul. If that language isn't appropriate for you, feed that goodness within yourself, right? And also feeding your own mind and taking care of your own body.
So, and then you think about it for your kids. And when kids are younger, when you're thinking about their school day, you want to think about what's going to feed their mind, what's going to feed their body, and what's going to feed their spirit. And when you're planning your day out and you're creating your routine, you could be thinking about all those things. So how much time are we getting outside? What kind of exercise are my kids getting?
Yeah.
And when your kids are older, middle, high school, I mean, we talk to our kids about what choices they're making to feed their mind, body, and spirit.
Right.
We let them be in charge of that.
Sometimes.
Right.
A phrase that's
Right.
often heard in our house is, you need to get outside, right? Like, if our kiddos aren't, and they do choose on their own.
They do, but not always.
But not always. And if they're not, it's like, you need to get outside. And guess what? So do we. So do you. We all need to be getting outside. That's part of homeschooling, right?
Right.
Yeah.
We talked to them about how much time have you been on a screen today and monitoring their own screen time. So our daughter, she keeps track of how much she did from school, how much time she's interacting with friends and on other websites, and trying to keep that in somewhat of a balance. And it's harder right now. All the kids are spending more time. All of us are spending more time in front of a screen. One of the concepts that is real important for us is called watering beneficial seeds.
Yeah.
And we actually have another podcast that we're doing right now called Watering Beneficial
Yeah.
Seeds.
Yeah. So if you want to check that one out, it's not particularly pertaining to homeschooling, but it's called Sacred Ground, Watering Beneficial Seeds. If you like this one, you'll probably like that one too. But anyway.
Okay. So watering beneficial seeds, the concept of this is that in all of us, we have different seeds inside of all of us. We have seeds of happiness and joy and sorrow and fear and anger. All those seeds are inside of everyone, every child, every adult. And depending on how much those seeds are watered, those are the seeds that grow. So the more you water the seeds of happiness and joy and peace, those seeds are going to grow more. The more we water the seeds of fear and anger, the more they are going to grow. And of course, right now, all of our seeds of fear are pretty high because they're watered, because we need to listen to the news. We need to know what's happening.
Right.
And they're watered in our kids too. So what we encourage you to do and have your kids think about are, what are the things that you're doing that are going to water those beneficial seeds in you? They're going to water those things that are going to make you feel better, feel calm, feel relaxed, feel joy, even at this time.
Yeah. Yeah. And everything's interconnected, right? If I'm doing a little exercise where I'll run up and down our steps, right? And kind of get my heart pumping and even work up into a sweat, get a little bit of exercise, because guess what? I ain't going to the gym. So But I find I do that, and then my mind's a little bit clearer,
Mm-hmm.
my spirit's a little bit more uplifted. Everything is interdependent, right? Everything is interrelated. So we want to just keep that in mind. Ollie was speaking of beneficial seeds. I don't know about you, but I know for myself, when our house is a wreck, I walk into a room, it's like, ugh. If I spend a little time, or we spend a little
Mm-hmm.
time, and with the kiddos, right? If they haven't had much responsibilities, this is a great time to invite them into at least a little bit more. Start to do that. The house looks better. You feel better. You know, you're ready to learn more. You're ready to have a little bit more joy, and you're not feeling, because we are all feeling, my gosh, the weight of the world. But how can we do some things that uplift us and uplift different parts of ourselves?
Right. And I think when you're thinking about this with homeschooling too, you can tell when your kids, maybe they have had enough of watering their minds. So I'm going to pick on math because that is an easy one to pick on. Um, that we'll be doing math with one of our kiddos, and you start to bang heads, and
Mhm.
they get frustrated, and you get frustrated, and
Back off.
yeah. And one of the great things about homeschooling is you don't have to do it right then. You
Mhm.
can do math another time. You can come back 15 minutes later. You can come back an hour later. You can have your kid
The next day sometimes, yeah.
very much the next day or a few days later. Uh, and a lot of times we'll tell one of our kids that we're banging heads with, I think you need to go outside. You need to run around the house or go
Mhm.
practice your music.
Yeah.
Do something that's going to feed your soul or something that's going to feed your body.
Yeah.
And then we'll come back to the things that are going to feed your mind.
Yeah.
And again, you don't have to come back that day. You don't have to come back very quickly. That's the benefit of homeschooling, that you can choose to do things at your own pace and what makes sense
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
that person. Because and in different days they're going to need more physical activity. Different days they're going to need more just kind of, they might need just need to read and relax for their spirit. And then other days they might be able to really do a lot with their mind.
Yeah, I like to ask myself questions. Sometimes we're going to provide more questions for you than answers for you. Um, I like Lawrence Bolt. He wrote a book years ago called Zen and the Art of Making a Living, and he said in that book, the question is the quest I on, the quest that I am on. And so here's one question that you might want to ask yourself at the end of the day. For myself, how was the balance of body, mind, and spirit today? What did I do to feed my body? What did I do to lift my spirit? What did I do to improve my mind? And then think of it for your spouse as well. Did they do that? Think of it for your children. What did they do? Yeah, they did some great, they were sitting there, they read for hours, but they just sat around. They didn't really get much exercise. Or uh, how do you balance this out? And think about that balance. Again, we're always recalibrating. It's a lifelong dance, right? And it's a daily dance. And so just we're inviting you to bring that into your awareness as homeschool families, which you now are. Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
Yes. And remember, mind, body, spirit. Take care of yourself in these three realms, and be reflecting upon that in terms of your children. And if they're a little bit older, they could be thinking about that for themselves as well.
We'll see you tomorrow.